I'd like to welcome everybody to the Coaches of the Mouth Pod. This is Coach Jeff Williams along with Coach Daryl Fimple and the Mouth Brent Bender. Hey, guys, before we get started, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors. This podcast is powered by Lindsey and Associates, also All-American Steakhouse in Springdale, and the Pigs brand. Guys, before we recap, man, before we get into it, probably the thing that's really dominated the news this week is the awful tragedy at Greenwood with Isaiah Arrington, great receiver for them, tragically died this past week. And just seeing all the outpours of not just in Greenwood, but people all throughout the state of Arkansas and represented, it was a tough week for a lot of people, especially in our prayers and everything go out to Greenwood.
Yes, indeed.
Just a tough situation. Well, let's get back to the football here. Let's recap a little bit. Crazy week last week, guys. And here's what I'm seeing. At the end of the day, these playoffs, and we're 1 week away, and I'm getting excited about it. But when these playoffs start getting close, you're seeing desperate teams do desperate things and play desperate. And we saw a lot of 1-point games last week, unbelievable performances. Daryl, I mean, let's kind of hit the recap. Let's start with maybe Lake Hamilton going to Shiloh after a horrible performance against Mountain Home, and they have shaken up 2 through really 5 there through the 6A East.
Well, yeah,
6A
yeah,
West.
Yeah, you know, and they're one of those teams at Lake Hamilton we can't figure out all year long. But I guess they found out the quarterback sneak works, because I hear that he did that about 8 times for 5 yards of whack. So Lake Hamilton, we know they're a physical team this time of year. You know, it's going to be wet this week, it looks like. Maybe a little cold, chill in the air. Got an hour's sleep, so the coaches actually got a little extra sleep this week. So there's going to be all kinds of things that happen. You know, in our smaller classifications too, you got to look for, you know, junior high season's over.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Fordyce has won that conference down there in junior high 7 years in a row. Might see some new red bugs on Friday night too. They might be breaking them out. A big game down there, Fordyce over Rising in the 74th meeting, 30-28. So both those guys are gunning for the playoffs too. And like I said, you know, you got teams like Lake Hamilton and them are just fixing their position. You know, there's so many games that are up in the air that go 1 through 6 in the big schools, and you know they're trying to still fight for them 4 spots in the smaller schools. So it's definitely it's playoff time.
It is, man.
It's playoff time, man.
And I'm fired up about, you know, week 10. You know, I'm gonna start counting, man. I mean, it's there, man. You know what I'm saying? All right, Mouth, let's go over. You really interested in this 7A Central? I mean, got 2 big games this week, and we'll talk about a little bit later on. But talk a little bit of what recap what you're looking forward to seeing and what you learned last week.
We got the Bryant Hornets coming in there at home with their great defensive line, and the Conway Wampus Cats are going to be coming down Interstate 30 with their hair on fire, and it's going to be a battle royal out there. The women and children need to stay at home. They need to they'll have their chin straps buckled up about 3 different ways, as tight as they can go.
Well, it's going to be, no doubt, it's going to be a physical matchup. Then you kind of look over here in the West. Bentonville's kind of take control of this, and man, and you know, Fayetteville's sitting there also.
If I'm not mistaken, this is Coach Buck James' first time on a Friday night back to Bryant.
Yeah.
He'll be fired up. It's going to be a great matchup. Can't wait to see it next Friday night.
Ought to be a great matchup. Probably the conference I really looking at is just 5A Central Conference. My gosh, I mean, Robinson's been, you know, probably at the top, but then, you know, Maumelle going in and beat Cersei by 1 point last week. So, you know, BB's sitting there they get a win over Cersei this week. They're the 2 seed or they're out. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of crazy scenarios coming on. Well,
we got some loser league towns.
I ain't no doubt. Either in or out,
loser league town. Yeah. You had a great run there, buddy. Yeah.
It's all. You got to put it all. I mean, it's that game. I mean, you're starting the playoffs. I mean, there's no.
You got senior nights too now. We got some senior nights. We got some.
Let's recap the senior night, because
senior nights, man. Big deal.
Let's recap that, because last week I made a statement on you don't want to play Catholic on senior night. They have an outer body experience. Well, guess what? It was senior night, and they upset Marion last week. So senior night's a big deal, no doubt. Well, Daryl, let's move on here. Let's get to your small school top six.
Small school top six. We got our also runs right here. Rivercrest Colts, 45-6 winners over Manila last week. Avante Washington threw for a measly 4 touchdowns, all in the first quarter, by the way. And we had to take them off. By the way, Rivercrest is junior high, undefeated.
Oh.
Yeah, could be some movement there. Might get back in the top 6 with that. Mansfield's going to drop out of the top 6, even though they beat Greenland last week 66-20. And you'll see why here in a second, because the top 6 is a mess. I mean, it's then you start thinking about if they played each other, which is even crazier because it's a cross classification. Fordyce is also Cadillac Ellison led them last week to a 30-28 over rival Rising. Little Rock Mills, we're going to see about Mills. Once again, they're kind of in that Parkview conference where you don't know how good they actually are, even though the Moody kid is over at 1,200 yards of rushing for Mills. Prescott, we're still looking at Prescott. I'm still a Curlywood fan. They're setting themselves up for a playoff run right here. Dwayne White, what a weapon he is for them. He also plays defensive end, which is kind of crazy. He's a wide receiver, defensive end. I mean, he's probably the only guy with 8 sacks and 8 touchdowns on here. It's kind of an interesting stat. Murfreesboro, the Rattlers.
Your boys.
This week with Mineral Springs, by the way. Yep,
awesome.
The Rattlers are back. They're rolling and rolling. Last week they beat Spring Hill 42-6. Boonville's also had a big win over Charleston. Big. Yeah, had to show some character there. Ended up winning 48-45. Our number 6, Carlisle Bisons.
Yes, sir.
Kyle Tankersley only threw for 326 yards last week, coming off of the Player of the Week from our podcast, by the way. And we got a couple new followers. I think his dad's following me now. 5 touchdowns, so Mouth must have left his mark down there. Bismarck's going to roll in at number 5. Cademan Keithley had a measly 3 touchdowns this week against Centerpoint in a 33-24 game. It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Number 4 is going to slide in there is Arkadelphia. They've taken over the top right there. Here comes Bryson McCoy. He was 11-14 last week for 164 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's got Arkadelphia right back in the mix of everything. Number 3, Osceola. I know. I cannot wait. You know what? They're going to be opposite of each other. It's going to be opposite of each other. Hey, you got to watch out for Newport, too. I didn't mention them and also they're only averaging about 50 points a game, too. So, those definitely need to be in the Ossos. Osceola came off the 48-6 win over Piggott. Number 2, you know why? Because it's playoff time. You ready? You ready for this? The Lumberjacks, baby. Number 2. The Lumberjacks are back. Yes. The Lumberjacks are back. We're figured out a way to get it rolling. Got a little solid play at quarterback this past week. Beat West Town 57-22. I think it's you can smell it.
Yeah.
Playoff time. Okay. Coach Bo's ready to go. And our number 1, and they've been number 1 the last 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Once again, Elkins rose in here off a 35-21 big win over Gravett this past week. Ben Napier, the quarterbacks, played phenomenal. The Walden kids back and healthy, but they're really good on defense. Coach Burst is doing a good job on the defensive side there. Gives them some balance. So Elkins is going to remain our number 1 in the Little School 6.
Well, I think you hit that. I mean, I think Elkins had a tough game. Gravitt's got a good football team. We're going to talk about them later on. But Uncle Bo, it's that playoff time. You're going to see them get going. And I tell you, Coach Glass down at Prescott, he's been eyeballing, man.
And I like the handwritten stats. He says. That's what I'm talking about. Old school print out, write them in there, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. When you got players like he's got with the Prater kid and them going both ways, I think, and they know what it takes. They know what it takes. They're a playoff team. So let's go Curlywoods.
All right,
big school. Man, we got a lot of Ossos here that'll probably get figured out this week too. You've got Robinson, Tyson Braden, the quarterback was 27-33 for 371 yards last week, 4 touchdowns in that game over Pine Bluff. They had a lot of trouble though running the football against Pine Bluff. Mountain Home's back, got a little healthy. Coach is healthy. Chenoweth had 3 touchdowns last week against Van Buren in a big win. Fayetteville statement game. I don't think they played maybe a quarter, but Garrett Odom settled in there for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. Farmington's still crushing the West right now with Aiden Lester. leading that charge. Defensively, they played a lot better this year this week. I mean, what would be worse?
Yeah.
You had to score 80. Valley View still sneaking around there. Drew Gartman, Andrew Jones. They've got some connections on the offensive side. They're playing really good defense. They had a big win against Nelson this week, 28-20.
And they hadn't had play really all year. That's what we're talking about. It's really the first four-quarter game they've had to play in a long time, which is good for them getting ready for playoffs.
Exactly. And a big win for them. Valonia over Fighting McNabbs, 30-27, found a way. Skylar Cole, quarterback, was 21 of 32 for 280 yards, had 194 yards, though, in money times, what I like to call it. Third and fourth quarter alone, dude, for almost 200 yards. So when the game was on the line, he stepped up big time. Harding Academy is also. Oh. You got to like this. They figured out something. Owen Miller's becoming Owen Miller again. He had 327 yards passing, 77 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. He accounted for 6 touchdowns this past week. I think he's got Harding Academy on the also list looking in. I think they got a chance to make some noise here too. Because once again, it's playoff time. Harding Academy is known to be a playoff team there. They have it figured out. Our number 6 is going to stay the same as from last week. Benton with a big 49-7 win over West Memphis. Drew Davis is over 2,100 yards of passing, over 33 touchdowns on the year. They are explosive on offense. And defensively, they're kind of a bend but don't break kind of defense they've got going. Bentonville's figured it out. Steadied quarterback. Trevor Grant's kind of settled them down there. They figured out they can run the football with Finkel. They're going to slide in at number 5 after a big win, 38-0 over Springdale this past week. Number 4 is the Conway Wampus Cats. Yep, Conway Wampus Cats going to be on my 14, 42-10 over Christian this past week. Did it a different way, though. They rushed for 320 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. The Davis kid and Harris both went over 100 yards. Well, actually, Davis had 216 yards rushing. That big offensive line they've got was moving some bodies around. Number 3 is going to be Parkview. Parkview's big win over 38-12. And that's the thing you get scared about, Mills and Parkview and them conferences. And they got a little challenge from Lakeside this week, and they definitely responded. Emmanuel Bunning, how about Coach Bolden taking the football?
I saw that.
Opening kick. We're going to go play some offense. He said they had a great week of practice. Emmanuel Bunning was 20 of 28 for 322 yards and 3 touchdowns, so they can do multiple things. That sets up the run game. Settles had 16 carries for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. And when they get to use all those weapons on the outside, they are scary. And still they can wreak havoc on quarterbacks, especially when they know you have to throw it. When you're behind.
Don't want to interrupt you. My favorite play of the game, part of that game, I got to watch it, is Lakeside breaks a counter for about 40 yards, straight timeout. We got to correct, and it was complete shutdown after that. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Them private meetings usually work.
It did, buddy.
Private meetings usually work. So Parkview's going to be 3. Greenwood, like we said, off of an emotional week. Kids that hung up 70 points, 70-28 over Southside. What a lot of class everybody in that area has shown. And like you said earlier on, we're sending our prayers to them from here on out. But Archer, 365 yards and 8 touchdowns. The opening kickoff, Carnes ran back 94 yards. They had 456 yards of total offense in the first half.
Yeah,
hear that? 456 yards in the first half. They come in at number 2, and like I said, they're on a mission for sure now. Number 1, instead of Arkansas's Bryant. Bryant Hornets got a huge game this week. It's going to shake up the Big 6 for sure. They had a 63-7 win over North Little Rock. They had a 63-7 win over North Little Rock this week. Jordan Walker, spectacular player, and I'm telling you, their front 7 on defense is phenomenal. Even when they sub, I'm pretty sure their JV defense is on a different level too. So I don't see them slowing down at all. There's a huge week this week, which we'll talk about later on. But yeah, Bryant's going to hold on to her number 1 spot in the top 6 of the big school.
Well, let's head over. Let's find out who our player of the week. We had a lot of people, a lot of great performances, and we're looking at guys making a difference. And I think this guy did. Who's our player of the week, Darryl?
Player of the week this week is Jacob Henry from Maumelle, Arkansas. He had 100 yards rushing, over 100 yards receiving. had a big, huge pass breakup at the end of the game, had several tackles, played both ways. Jacob's an outstanding player. He's the one that he actually outran everybody from Parkville that night. So, I mean, he's a spectacular player, an outstanding player. He's our player of the week this week. That's Jacob Henry from Maumelle High School.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, before we get our picks, let's go ahead and bring on our guest picker, former Fayetteville Purple Dog Hall of Famer, former Arkansas Razorback, Lyndy Lindsey. Welcome to the show, Lyndy.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, Lyndy, we're going to check your work like we do everybody else. I hope your work's better than ours. Everybody on the show was last week. It was
Once again, we're just a show full of Hall of Famers. I mean, everybody's right on us, and somebody's all. Besides me and Mouth can get anybody's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there's no fame here. He popped me up.
Well, it should be. It is. I promise you. Well, let's get into Lyndy. We got some tough games this week, and I know you follow high school football. You're Fayetteville. You graduated from there. But you followed all over the state of Arkansas. Talk to us a little bit before we get in these picks here. You go to a lot of games. What have you seen this year in high school football that's really stood out for you?
Well, I tell you what, to be honest, Springdale being 6-0 at the time they were was very surprising to me. But I don't know. My two nephews play at Fayetteville, and I go watch them here and there. So, I don't know. It's just college. I mean, high school football is great.
Yeah, it is. Every Friday night's been awesome. Well, let's go and let's check our work from last week, which I hate to do that, but we need to do that. I was 5-5. Mouth, you are 4-6. And Fimp, you were 5-5, and our guest picker Mike Carter was 5-5. That's going to put me at a total this year at 68-33. Mouth, you're 66-35. Daryl, you're 63-38, and our guest picker 62-29. Well, let's get into it. I'm going to start this off. The gloves are off, guys. I'm not having a 5-5 week anymore. I mean, if everybody else may be, but I'm not. Gloves are off. And Lyndy, I tell everybody that comes on this show, pick with your brain, not your heart. Then it's okay. When you lose a few friends on the way, it's all about the competition every week. Man.
Yeah.
That's the way it's got to be. All right, let's get into it. All right, our number 10 game right here. This game right here is interesting. We've got the boys from Bigelow who like to get down and dirty in Bigelow, defending state champion, headed over to Conway Christian, who was preseason picked to win that conference. Huge game here, Daryl. Break this one down. Hadn't talked about Bigelow a lot. Talked about Conway Christian. Break this one down for us.
Well, you got Bigelow comes in at number 4 in some rankings, and Conway's number 2 in the state of Arkansas. Both of them are 6-0 in the conference. Both of them have come off of big, huge wins. Both of them, this is the weird thing, is they're both averaging Bigelow's averaging 38 points on the ground. They're giving up 11 in conference play. Little Rock Christian's averaging 50, and they're giving up 8 in the conference. Here's the thing about the Conway Christian that people don't understand. There are 6 conference games. Only 4 times have they given up. They haven't given up a score. They've got 4 of their 6 conference games are shutouts.
Ryan must be back over, man.
Yeah, I think so, because they've given up 49 points. Listen to this one. They're giving up 49 points in conference play. They gave up 41 to Mount Ida. Yeah, nobody else has scored on them. So Conway Christian comes in here after beating Hector 43-0, another shutout, by the way. And Bigelow's coming in here. Now, this is a rival game. You can throw all that stuff out. Like you said, Bigelow's a big physical team, been there, done that. Conway Christian relies on the passing game a little bit. But like I said, I think Conway Christian's playing defense. I think they got something to prove here. To be the man, you must do what? You must beat the man. And this is a home game. It's going to be senior night there at Conway Christian. So I'm going to circle Conway Christian, number 2, to get the win.
Well, Mouth, the boys at Bigelow, they like to get down and dirty in big games here. What do you think about this?
This is for a conference championship right here. So all bets are off. Conway Christian going through senior night. Ugh. I'd hate to go for a conference championship game and coming off playing on senior night. I'm going. That all being said, we'll go Conway Christian.
Don't Conway Christian. All right, Lyndy. This is a a big battle. Bigelow won the state championship last year. Conway Christian's coming in hot. Both teams are hot. What's your take?
I tell you what, Conway's been so good to our business and our family. Hal Crafton is a great business partner of ours, and he is the face of Conway. I'm going with Conway Christian.
Yeah, Lindy's going Conway Christian.
Hey, that guy ain't where he's at for no reason whatsoever. All right. That guy, he's figured this show out, buddy.
Yes, you very late. We've already got one guy fixed.
Yeah, we got that guy
on here. We got Matthew Shepard elected. Unbelievable. I'm gonna go with Conway Christian. But I'm gonna tell you, Coach Starks will have the boys at Bigelow. They're rough and tough, and they'll be ready to go. But I'm gonna go with Conway Christian. I think they're great on defense and high powered on offense. All right, this is interesting. Staying here in kind of Central Arkansas, got Mayflower, who came off a tough loss at Salem against Salem last week at home, going to Atkins, who beat Salem earlier this year. Big matchup here, Daryl. The question is, can Mayflower bounce back up after that big emotional game against Salem?
Had a problem stopping the run. The Bink kid got healthy there at Salem, and you know what we do at Salem? We're just going to pound you and pound you and pound you. They got 17 tight ends lined up out there. Mayflower, though, can throw the football. When they got on the field, they could score. Trey Cockerman, their quarterback, had 3 touchdown passes last week against Salem. Cameron Willis had 5 catches for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. They just couldn't keep Salem from driving the ball.
Yeah,
which kept them on the short side of that game. They were on the sideline most of the game. Atkins, kind of weird because Atkins is giving up about 27 points a night. They're scoring a bunch. They got John Davis, their linebackers, over 100 tackles on the year. They got Mason Martin and Jaden Martin. Both of those guys have accounted for about 1,800 yards and 20 touchdowns combined. So they like to run it. Yeah. What did we say Mayflower had a problem with last week?
Stopping the run.
They couldn't stop the run, man. So Atkins, can they pull it off at home? Can the pickle people pull it off at home? We don't know. But you know what? I was 5-5 last week. I got to take some chances here. I'm going to go Atkins at home.
Go
over
them twice. That's the question. Can they get ready to go on this one? Talk to us about this, man. It's Mayflower at.
I'm going to go Mayflower in this one.
On Mayflower. Lyndy, this one here.
Not so fast, Mouth. Not so fast. I'm going with Atkins in this one.
All right. Lyndy's going with that. Atkins. I'm going to go with Mayflower. I think Coach gets a bounce back. I think they're the second best team. Scary game. All right, Western Arkansas. This is a team we have not talked about all year. Is Mina at Dardanelle. We have talked about Dardanelle. They had Player of the Week earlier. Coach Vegas' son was Player of the Week. Unbelievable player. Both undefeated. Daryl. I mean, and to be honest, with this conference at the beginning of the year, we thought it was Ozark and everybody else out of the way, and Dardanelle Mina is just taking care of business. Daryl, break this one down.
Well, Mina's the quietest 9-0.
Oh my God!
In conference play, you'll see. Yeah, so I had to do some dig on these guys. They beat Clinton last week, 24-7. They're scoring 36 points in conference play, giving up 13. A guy named Brody Peters, who's a running back. He has 145 carries for almost 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns on the year. Jerry Hernandez leads them in tackles with 80. Trip Hensley has 4 interceptions. Michael Sullivan's their quarterback. He's 81 of 125 for 1,130 yards through the air and 14 touchdowns, 304 yards rushing. So he's accounted for almost 1,500 yards of offense. Sean Sullivan, all right, catchy name right there. Might be his brother. 32 catches, 373 yards. They got a guy on the outside too. Jerry Hernandez, who's their leading tackler, actually is their deep threat. He has 17 catches for 380 yards and 5 touchdowns. So that's what I found out about Mina. All right. You go down here to Dardanelle, it's the Vegas show.
Oh,
welcome to Vega. Welcome to Vega. Creed Vega on the year has got over 3,000 yards of total offense. Yeah. And I don't know how many tackles the guy's got, but he's got 29 touchdowns through the air or on the ground. Ron Chatham is his wide receiver. He likes to throw 38 catches for 635 yards, 9 touchdowns. Finkbeiner, which is the greatest name ever. I'm sure he's a linebacker. I'm hoping.
Oh, yeah.
He's got eye black on. Finkbeiner. He's got 76 tackles on the year. They got 8 sacks from Latrice Robinson. Kendrell Diggs has 5 interceptions. So they're pretty balanced on all 3 floors of the defense there, or all 3 segments of the defense. They beat Pottsville last week 41-14. Like I said, this is a home game. All right, it's a home game. Mina, like I said, is sneaking around in here.
I'm telling you.
And they're coming up there with the plan. I think they've got some weapons there. We know what Dardanelle's got. So I'm going to go with the Mina Bearcats.
Going Mina.
When's the last time Mina's been 10-0, man?
When's the last time we had Mina as a top 10 game of the week, man?
That's true, too. That's true, too.
I saw that it was something like 1996 is the last time they were 9-0.
1996.
Yeah.
Wow.
They graduated from college, I think. It's a long time ago, guys. That's a long time ago. All right, Mouth. Here we go. Mina at Dardanelle. You've been over to Dardanelle. Coach
I have. Mina's had a great year, but Viva Vega is coming to Creed Vegas just been taking Dardanelle on his shoulders every week and just putting up astronomical numbers. And I don't see the Vega Mobile slowing down. I'm gonna take Dardanelle.
Dardanelle. Lindy, what do you think about this one?
Well, my good friend Bob Carver lived in Mina, and also Long John Daly's from Dardanelle.
Yeah.
John, this one. I'm going Dardanelle.
Going Dardanelle. Lindy's going Dardanelle. I'm going to go with Dardanelle. I think offensive, defensive line's a factor here, and then Creed Vega is definitely a factor. I mean, the guy puts career numbers up every freaking week, man. It's unbelievable. But I'm going to go with Dardanelle, and maybe John Daly might show up at the game, big conference game, man. You never know, guys.
I got a question about that.
Yeah.
As Dardanelle, Coach Vega, do you think during the game he ever gets to sit back and say, wow, that's my son out there?
He probably does that after the game on film, I'd say, most of the time. But he's put some wow moments up. There ain't no doubt about it.
There's no question.
No doubt. All right, let's head up to Northwest Arkansas here. We got Gentry, who come off a huge win at Prairie Grove, went on the road and won at Prairie Grove. Got Gravitt, features a huge running back who's one of the best in the state. Played our number 1 team in Elkins, very, very close, within 2 touchdowns last week. This one here is for the 2 and 3 slot here in that conference, that 4A conference, Daryl. Huge game. Break this one down. Very evenly matched.
Yes, yeah, they play the same way too, so it's going to be kind of the styles are going to be a blend here. They Gentry beat Prairie Grove 34-31 last week. They're giving up 20 points in conference play defensively. They're averaging about 35 on offense. Bennett Roberts is their running back. He has over 111. He has 111 carries for 855 yards and 7 touchdowns. He also is their leading tackler.
Yeah,
that's what we like. Playoff time, but he's over 80 tackles on the year. Aiden Eller has 7 sacks on the year for Gentry, so they can get after the quarterback. But here's one of these games that you better have your hand in the dirt, because both of them are going to run right back at each other. Gravitt coming off a loss to Elkins, like we said last week, was probably one of the better games last week. It's 35-21. Elkins beat them. Gabriel Holmes is their bell cow running back. He has over 131 carries for 985 yards. He's over 1,000 now, and he's got 30 touchdowns in the year.
Good, great.
Yeah, it's just did you just hear me? That guy's got 30 in a year. Good God, that's almost like 3 a game.
Well, he looks like John Riggins, man.
Jacob Gaylord is their leading tackler with 74 tackles. This game's at Gravitt. So Gravitt's having their senior night. Gentry's going to try to run their senior night. I'm going to take Gravitt at home in this one.
They can grab it. All right, Mouth.
Wow. I have got to go Gravitt in this game as well.
Going to grab it. All right, Lindy, this one here, big matchup here because it's for the 2 seed. You're looking at home playoff advantages and things like that. Gravitt's got the big running back. Gentry's been playing, goes to Prairie Grove, pulls off a huge win. What's your thoughts on this one?
I tell you what, since they filmed the stadium scene in the Burlsworth movie there at Gravett, I'm rolling with Gravett.
I love it. I love it.
This guy's might go undefeated.
Yeah, he is. He's hot right now. I can see it.
Yeah, he might go undefeated.
I think this is a very, very close game. I think Gravitt's just a little bit better. I think you're looking for a one touchdown game. I'm gonna go with Gravitt also in this one. All right, head to Central Arkansas. This is at 5A Central, which we're gonna keep talking about this later on. It's kind of messed up. Robinson's the one that's really taking care of business. They're in the front seat. Maumelle, huge win over Cersei, kind of getting hot at the right time, get some guys back, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Got a matchup here also with two, former assistant with the head coach, with Coach Moppin being the former defense coordinator at Robinson. We got Maumelle at Maumelle at Robinson. Break it down,
yes.
Daryl.
Maumelle, comes in here off of a 24-23 win over Cersei. They're really led by their quarterback play has gotten better and better. Levi Warrior was 21 of 37 for 237 yards and 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. They're averaging about 27 points on the year in conference play. They're only giving up about 12. Like we talked about, Jacob Henry earlier, he's coming off of over 200 yards total offense last week. He was our player of the week last week. So Maumelle's got a little momentum going into this game. They're going to Robinson, like you said. Coach Moppin's pretty, particular about Robinson. He's probably built that program to take on Robinson. Robinson's sitting at 6-0. They found different ways all year long to win. They've relied on the running game. They've relied on last week they had to throw it to beat Pine Bluff because they really couldn't run it against them. They ended up beating Pine Bluff last week 33-14. Tyson Braden was 27 of 33 for 371 yards and 4 touchdowns. And like I said, they really struggled running the football last week. But like I said, Robinson keeps finding a way, and they know what it takes to win a conference. They know how important it is too.
Yes,
conference title, because you get that 1 seed, and you get a couple more home games, a couple more senior nights is what we like to say. So I'm going to take Robinson in their own backyard to win this one. But it's going to be a close one. This one. This one might see a little OT action going here. We might play a little extra.
Very, very similar matchup. All right, Mouth, you saw Maumelle a little bit last week at Cersei, and Robinson also. Talk to us a little bit. You'll be head down to Maumelle this week. Talk to us a little bit about this one.
Did I hear you say that this is a loser league if Maumelle's either second or nothing?
No. Maumelle's in. Maumelle's in. That's BB.
Okay.
Yeah, BB.
My bad on that. This is going to be a really good game, but I've got to go with the Robinson Senators. They're just playing lights out football right now.
They've been the most consistent in the conference, no doubt. All right, Lyndy, this is a tough one. I mean, Maumelle's really hitting their stride, get guys back, start to score the ball a little bit. Robinson's been the most consistent team in the league. Talk to us about this one.
Well, I tell you what, I love Maumelle. I love that boulevard as you're coming through town, I mean, it's just awesome. They got new restaurants, new places to eat, all that kind of stuff. If the game was at Maumelle, I'm going with Maumelle. But the game's at Robinson, I'm going with Robinson.
Going with Robinson. Lindy's going with Robinson. I'm going to go with Robinson also. I think they've been the most consistent all year long and on a mission. But I'm with Daryl. I think this is a really tight one. All right. Game number 5 here. We got Parkview, who went in and last Thursday dominated Lakeside, who has got a great football team, fighting are going against Camden Fairview and the Fighting Vaughns. The Fighting Vaughns have been great all year long. This is a big chore for them, but they've got them at home. Daryl, break this one down. These two know each other. We got a former defensive coordinator going against a former head coach, and Nick Vaughn going against Brad Bowden. Talk to me a little bit about this one.
Once again, it's like we were talking about Mop and Coach Skull. They've been around each other. They're the same squad. I mean, Parkview's found out that the Bunning kid gives them opportunities to throw the ball down the field. They got so many weapons. Last week, the Folk kid caught 5 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown. Like we said, we talked about Settles earlier. They got so many weapons. Word's out on the Robinson kid. He might be hurt this week. Camden Fairview got a big, huge home game right here. Yep. The Vaughns, they've never backed down from Park.
No, sir.
they've been right in a lot of tight games with them coming off a 34-6 win over Hot Springs. Go ahead.
And probably the last 2 years have played them better than anybody else.
Oh yes, they have.
I mean,
yeah, and it all starts with their quarterback, Daryl Atkins Jr. He's 124 of 182 for over 2,000 yards and over 20 touchdowns on the year. I think Camden Fairview, as long as they don't turn it over, I think they got a shot at home here. But man, Parkview's so explosive, and it just takes one slip, one fall, one opening, and they can just take advantage of it so much. And I'm going to take Parkview on the road to win it. I think this is going to be I think this is going to be a challenging game for Parkview. I don't think they're going to have their pads off in the third quarter.
Well, you're right. I mean, they got up for Lakeside last week, and got to drive down to Camden. All right, Matthew, you're close to the Fighting Vaughns here, and you know the Bolden boys over there at Parkview, obviously, and you've watched both of them. There'll be some athletes on this field, buddy.
There will be athletes galore on the field at Camden. The question is, Coach Vaughn knows what Parkview is. Coach there for Coach Bolden, defensive coordinator. Coach Vaughn's doing a great job at Camden. The key for Camden Friday night will be, will they be able to make Parkview drive the ball and not give up one or two play touchdowns?
Yeah.
Because you got that's your chance. You say, is Parkview going to be patient enough if they're not scoring quick?
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to drive 60 or 70 yards without making a mistake? But that all being said, Camden's had a great year. They could very easily be undefeated going into this game too. They Elder Rada close and someone else close, but I've got to go with Parkview. But if anybody's got the remedy for Parkview, it's the Fighting Vaughns.
Fighting Vaughns. Sorry, you like Parkview, Lyndy. That Parkview's been dominant the last couple of years, back-to-back state champions, and then Fairview's played them really well the last 2 years. Break this down for us.
Well, I tell you what, my father-in-law, George Branch, coached down there for 7 years, then was the superintendent of the school system at Camden Fairview for 25. Wow. Time I go down there, the house is painted like my room right here. It's red and white. Of course, this is my Razorback room. But down there, it's all about the Cardinals. And as much as I hate to do it, I got to go with Parkview.
Yeah, that's just too much, man. Yeah, I think I just saw them on the film. It ain't hard to go with those guys, man. Parkview's been unbelievable. I'm going to go with Parkview, but like I said, Coach Vaughn will have them ready to go. All right, this next game. Oh, my gosh. This is probably the craziest game we got on here. We got BB at Cersei. Got Coach Bingham's done a great job at BB. If they win, they're the 2 seed. If they lose, they're out. And then Cersei's coming off a difficult loss against Maumelle, 1-point loss. Coach Clark has Cersei Lions playing as good a football as they have there in years, and should be a heck of a matchup. We're talking about 15 miles down the road here. Daryl, I just don't know about this one. Talk to me. I mean, I
know about it. This is the hardest one we've had to pick.
Oh my gosh, I've lost sleep over this. I've lost sleep
this week. I don't know which way you go. I mean, you still can't explain some of the BB wins. So it gets even crazier. I mean, they open up with 22-0 win over Maumelle, Maumelle, and you're going, wow, maybe BB's really good. Cersei, we kept an eye on. It's like I said, Coach Clark does a great job. They can throw it and run it. They just have kind of been snake bit at the end of games. And then sometimes they don't show up at all. So I don't know. It's like fantasy now. So this one's a tight one, but this is at Cersei's at home. They got senior night. Like you said, it's probably been one of the best seasons they've had, at least the last 5 already. So they're thinking about how much icing they can put on the cake here. BB's fighting for their life. Which is always scary. You got to think they're the Badgers too.
Yeah.
If you put a Badger in the room, I'm sure he gets pretty scared in there. Yeah, it gets a little scary. So I think BB's going to be fired up for this one. Like I said, they got a lot to play for right here. Like we said, we get in the playoffs here. So I am going to take Cersei at home.
Oh, taking Cersei. I think I didn't see that coming. I thought we're off the wagon there a little
Sorry,
bit.
Badgers.
Going with Cersei. All right, Mouth, you live there, buddy, and the BB's right down the road. And
down the road. Coach Bingham's done a great job.
Yeah.
At BB. And Coach Clark, gosh, he's got Cersei playing this year better than they played in years and years. Probably since they won the state championship when Coach Kelly was here. Zach's got a lot of Newline's got a lot of injuries from last week. But that being said, I'm going with the Cersei Lions.
Shocker. Every week you go with Cersei.
Everybody is not shocked.
We're not shocked over this one, Mouth. We're not shocked over this one. All right, Lyndy, this one here, I've not made my decision yet. And this is unbelievable. I actually did some homework on this one, watched all kinds of film. Break this one down, BB at Cersei.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know much about BB, but I do know the first year I coached Jack in football, Zach Clark helped me.
Yeah.
And I saw his antics on the field and the stuff he pulled off. And he was just, he was so good at everything he did there. I think he's going to get BB on the freeze count. I think it's going to be 5 yards down the field with the freeze count. BB's going to be on their heels. And Cersei Lions are off to the races. So I'm going Cersei Lions.
He's going with Cersei Lions. Lindy's going with Cersei. Well, guys, let me tell you something, guys. I was up to 2:30 in the morning on Friday night, or I guess Saturday morning, and I was watching a lot of BB film and Cersei film because I couldn't figure this one out. BB does a great job. They get their special teams coordinator over there, Cody Sparks, does an amazing job. They run a lot of different guys on special teams, play a lot of different kids. And that's what I think is going to be the deciding factor. I think special teams will be, and I'm going with the BB Badgers. I think it's a toss up, but I think they're hungry, and I'm going with the Badgers on this. Which this thing I could go either way. All right. This one here we thought would be for a conference championship, possibly still could be. We got Benton, who's dominated the 6A East over there. Got Maran, who was upset. I would call it upset, but got beat by Catholic last week on senior night. Don't play the Catholic on senior night. It's bad business. These two have been probably the two dominant forces in the 6A East. Daryl, break this one down. Probably the two most talented teams in the 6A East.
Oh, yes, especially the offensive side of the football. I don't know if Benton, their offense is right up there with needless to say, Greenwood's. Drew Davis, quarterback, 2,200 yards, over 33 touchdowns, doesn't turn it over. He started last year as a sophomore, has played in a lot of games. They actually had, they beat West Memphis last week. Maddox Davis, his brother, actually threw a touchdown pass too on a reverse. But he hits different people. He's got so many targets on the outside. It's just one after another. So Benton is putting up huge points on the year. They're averaging over 54 points a game. Marion, it's hard to figure Marion out too, because some nights they look really, really good, and the other nights they don't look so good. Jalen Smith, though, is their bell cow running back. He's got over 1,200 yards total of rushing offense and over 22 touchdowns in the year. Jalen, of course, they were beat last week by Catholic at home. Once again, Jeff proclaims the senior night curse of playing Catholic.
You don't mess those guys, man.
And Catholic, Catholic's still sneaking around there too.
Oh, yeah.
Around the middle of everything too. And they got great quarterback play. But I'm going to take Benton on the road over Marion.
You'll take Benton on the road. Mouth, what do you think about this one? I mean, Marion's features are probably the best lineman in the state of Arkansas. Benton, you saw them against Harding Academy earlier this year. Break it down.
Benton might have the best group of linemen.
Yeah.
On the field. They're really good. They will look good they look beautiful coming off the bus. Benton will not back down from Marion.
No.
And I just think that this year, Coach Brad Harris, has Benton playing at an extremely high level, and I look for Benton to win this in a close game.
Look at Benton. All right, Lyndy, you got Benton and Marion. These have been the two teams class of the 6A East. Them, Benton, Marion, and Catholic. You can kind of throw them all three in there. What's your breakdown on this one?
Well, I played at Arkansas with Scott Long and Randy Russell, who both went to Benton. And I know Brad Harris because his son was with my son on a competitive baseball team. So I've got to go with Benton.
Going with Benton. Lindy's going with Benton. I'm gonna go with Benton also. I think they're just a class that conference. Marion's done a great job. They got to bounce back off loss senior night at Marion, but I think Benton's just too much. They're really focused on bigger things. All right, here we go. Our small school game of the week. This one is one of the top rivals in the state of Arkansas. We got Arkadelphia at Malvern. Before we do that, let's bring our Lindsey and associated guest, head coach from Arkadelphia, Coach Trey Shucker. Coach, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me on. Always a pleasure to be on here with you guys.
Well, let's get into it. We've had you on a couple times this year. You know, like I said, you've been playing in a lot of big games, and this week doesn't get any bigger. I mean, not only, you know, your big rival with Malvern, that's been a huge rival when I was down living in Arkadelphia. I mean, those guys go back and forth.
Yeah.
And then you throw the conference championship on top of it, and this number one seed, which you know how important that is in the playoffs. I've looked at some brackets. I don't know where the one seeds, you're home all the way through or not, but talk to us a little bit. Let's talk about your team first. You know, your progression, where you're at. Y'all been playing really good football. Your quarterback's been outstanding. Both fronts, offensive, defensive line's been very impressive. Talk to us a little bit about your team before we get into about the Malvern Leopards.
Yeah, right now we've just been really consistent. Ever since we got into conference play, our guys have really just meshed together. You know, we've been able to see that through the past couple of years with our non-conference. We play a tough non-conference schedule, and then once we get into conference, our team just kind of gels together. You know, we start playing complementary football with all three phases working in a line, and you know, that's what we're doing right now. And our guys have done a really good job being consistent and just taking care of business week to week, taking every opponent, you know, serious and not overlooking anybody. And you know, that's how we got to this point, week 10, conference championship week, and you know, just excited for the opportunity of our guys and our program.
Well, this you know, the Malvern Leopards you're very familiar with. I mean, even though they got a new coach, Coach Johnny Fogum, come in from Catholic, you know, one of the great coaches in Arkansas. You know, it always has his team ready to play. Kind of comes into Malvern. You know, people really didn't know what was going to happen, and they've got players. Obviously, they've always got players, but pieced it together. They're sitting there, you know, undefeated. And talk to us, you know, what problems they present. Obviously, you know, they've got some good athletes and always got good speed. Talk to me a little bit the problems they present.
Well, you know, first I would like to say, you know, you mentioned it. Coach Fogum has done a great job coming in first year. I know it's he was there before, but first year, you know, following up the type of team that he did, you know, isn't easy. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of high expectations for the team. For Malvern the past couple years, you know, they won it 2 years ago, and then they pretty much had the same team last year. You know, so that the team that he has right now, they graduated so much off of last year's team. The team that he has right now, you know, might not have gotten the same amount of reps as what you'd normally walk into in a situation. And so it's pretty much, you know, a team that hadn't really touched the field a whole lot. You know, there are some pieces that have, but he's done a great job at coming in and getting those guys going. You know, they're undefeated right now. And so they're a tough team, very athletic, like we mentioned. You know, very skilled at the wide receiver positions, the DBs. They're big up front on both sides, and they're mid-skill. Their quarterback, running backs are very impressive. They got a stable of running backs that they can use, and they're all very good. And then the linebackers they fit the bill also. So it should be a really good matchup.
Well, I think so. And you know, everybody's, you know, you've got a great quarterback. You know, he was one of our player of the week earlier this year, and they've got great skill guys, but you know, as former offensive line coach, and I've been watching a lot of these games here the last couple of weeks, it's getting down to line play. Y'all have got a great offensive defensive line. You just mentioned that part of. Do you think, you know, we can take the skill guys and guys got to make plays? We understand that, but
sure.
If you were focusing in just going to the game and checking out matchups, is that the matchup you think, you know, really is going to be critical?
Yeah, our defensive line is pretty impressive. You know, they make our defense run. You know, our linebackers and BBs behind them do a really good job of playing off of what the defensive line is doing. You know, our defensive line is really good at run block and run block destruction. And then we're really good and impressive in our pass rush. So, if you can win at the defensive line spot, if you can win the line of scrimmage, it makes everything else flow. And then same thing on offense. Our offensive line is doing a really good job controlling the line of scrimmage in the run and pass game. Our running backs are playing really impressive right now also, but it starts with those guys up front. Just being able to do both run and pass, giving our young quarterback time to throw the ball and get the ball to our playmakers. If you're not able to do that, it makes things hard to work offensively and to sustain drives and create explosive and all that. So it just really, whenever you're good at the front lines on either side of the ball, it just makes everything work.
No doubt. And you got a great defense line, Coach. Bobby Evans done a great job. Well, Coach, before I get you off here, and we're not looking ahead, you're in the playoffs, so you can talk about this. Obviously, all your focus on the Malvern Leopards. But looking at this playoff deal down the road a little bit is, man, this 4A's wide open. I mean, I've been the Northeast Arkansas, they're thinking the same thing. I've talked to people in South Arkansas, they're thinking up here, Elkins, Northwest, and then of course you guys, and then sitting there, Mills right there in the Central. This thing is wide open. You've been a part of 4A a long time. We talked about this earlier in the year. Talk to me a little bit how wide open this 4A is right now.
And we talked about it before the season started, and we're sitting here week 10, and I think there's like 6 or 7 teams that are undefeated right now. And, that's kind of what we expected. There's going to be some really good teams, and it's a wide open race. There's a team in every conference, I think, that's undefeated. Maybe not the 8 conference, but they're probably the most competitive conference this year, just based off of what we've seen. But there's just so many ways that it can go in the playoffs, and I think that it's so important. It always is in 4A especially, but I think playoff matchup really comes into picture, and just who you're playing and the path that you have for what the bracket is and how it's aligned, I think really comes into play this year.
Well, no doubt, and you'll be worried about that on down the road. And I know you're focused in on that, but it's good. I mean, it is wide open, and you guys are right in the mix. Well, Coach, thank you for taking time. Hey, I know you fixed to get in the lab and check these old Malvern Leopards out,
right.
and hey, good luck with all those formations he puts up, man. Good luck with all that.
We'll have to get it figured out for sure.
Well, good deal. Well, Coach, thank you for coming on. We'll see you down the road.
All right, appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, Coach. Well, guys, you can see where Coach feels real confident about his team. I mean, they're playing well this time last year. They beat Malvern the last 2 years, boom, take off and make a long run in the playoffs. It's come down to these two teams. Coach Johnny Fogelman's doing Johnny Fogelman things, as the mouth would say. He's sitting there undefeated, one of the best coaches in the state of Arkansas. Coach Cersei is also. Arkadelphia at Malvern. Daryl, this is about to be a high-flying one.
Well, yeah, because both teams come in here just like Arkadelphia is averaging 46.4 points a game in conference play. Malvern's averaging 46.6 points a game. I mean, so the first one of 46 wins. They're just going to shut the clock off there.
Something's got to give, baby.
Something's got to give. Arkadelphia, Bryson McCoy, their quarterback, he does it both ways. He can run. He can throw it. He's been on a roll that, especially when they've made their run here, their push towards in the conference. He's probably been their best offensive player in that conference so far this year. Malvern, like we said, Coach Fogelman, I mean, the guy just wins. And Malvern's a place where they like winning. And they've won a lot in the past, too. And they're playing at home. And they're playing for something right here. The Malvern at home right here. But you know what? I'm taking the Badgers.
Pimp's taking the Badgers.
Those Badgers I like.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Mouth, you've been down to Arkadelphia. You've seen that quarterback from Arkadelphia plays an unbelievable player. Then you know how Johnny Fogelman always has his teams ready to roll. This ought to be an interesting matchup.
First of all, let me say this is an unbelievable head coach on head coach matchup.
Yes, sir.
Coach Shucker and Coach John Fogelman, both winners. That's all you can say. In this game right here, the question is, will the baby-faced assassin Bryson McCoy, will he shave this week before the game? I doubt it very seriously. But I have just got to go with, Malvern. John Fogelman's doing John Fogelman things. Arkadelphia is, but the thing I think is going to be the one is Arkadelphia's defensive line.
Yeah.
And they controlled everybody they played, except, and I'm going with Coach Trey Shucker and the Arkadelphia Badgers.
Mouse going with the Badgers. Lyndy, this is a huge rival, and phenomenal players, two great coaches, and two great historic programs. Talk to me about this one.
Well, on my sheet here, I got Arkadelphia circle, but I got Malvern written off the side, so I'm totally confused on what to do.
Yeah.
You know, you got Madre Hill that went to Malvern. Every time I go to Camden, I drive right by that stadium there at Malvern, right on the highway, sitting in the pines. So, man, I tell you what, or I could go with Ken Duke and Arkadelphia.
Yeah.
So I'm going Arkadelphia.
Going to Arkadelphia. Lindy's going with Arkadelphia. This one here, I think is going to be this scheme-wise, see what Coach Fogelman comes up with. Coach Shucker comes with just little pieces there. I'm going to go with Arkadelphia. I think the mouth hit it. I think their defensive line has controlled games this year, and I think that's where they win the football game is in the line of scrimmage. All right. Big school game of the week. And if anybody sits around and says they ain't been waiting for this for 10 weeks, they're lying to you. Big, huge game in the 7A Central, probably game of the year so far. We got the Conway Wampus Cats at Bryant. Before we do that, let's bring our Lindsey associated guest, head coach of the Conway Wampus Cats, Coach Buck James. Coach, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff, I appreciate you guys having me on the show with you.
Well, is there something big going on in Conway and Bryant this week? I don't think everybody's talking about. We just you can feel the excitement, and I'm sure you can at your place. Huge ball game, conference championship, and that 7A Central where you're always in the mix there. Talk to us a little bit about your team. You've watched your team grow, non-conference, huge win over Bentonville. We talked to you a couple of weeks ago. Go to PA. Had to play with backup quarterback the last 2 weeks, finding the ways. Talk to us a little bit about your progression of your football team so far this year.
Well, this week is sort of the calm before the storm, but we've really we've had a good year. I think our football team is better. I think our program is in better shape. We're in a position that we were hoping that we could be in. We've got a tiger by the tail this week, that's for sure. And it's exciting. It's fun from a coach's standpoint, but it's something that kids want to do. It's the coaches, the communities. This is a good time for football in Central Arkansas, and we're excited for the opportunity. Bryant's used to being in this situation, as I well know, and Conway's been trying to chop on the tree for a long time, and I don't think Conway has beat Bryant in the last 10 years, and so. We've got to go play well. We've got to give ourselves a chance. And, hopefully we don't catch those guys playing at their top of their game. And, we've got a chance. And that's really from, looking at it from a Sunday, all you want's a chance. And you get yourself in a position to play this game. By any means, this is not the end of the road. Both of us are going to get to play again. And, this a long playoff system. But, hopefully this will be a game that we can duplicate later down the road.
Well, let's talk about your offense real quick. Really you ran the ball extremely well for last week, unbelievable. Your offensive line has been very consistent all year long. Quarterback been banged up a little bit. You got a great backup quarterback's played well the last 2 weeks, and your receivers. But talk about a little bit about your offense and getting that run game going, and how consistent your offensive line has been.
Well, it's an opportunistic offense. I think we take what the defense gives us. And, we've seen a little of everything this year. We've seen it where they wanted us to throw the football, and we've seen it where they wanted us to run the football. And, we've seen a lot of odd front. We've seen a lot of blitzes. We've seen a lot of man coverage this year. And, last week we got a lot of blitzes with, some zone coverage and a little man underneath. And, our football team has been able to progress. We don't have big running backs, but they're fast, they're courageous, they run hard. They're not very big. That's the only thing, only knock on them. But they run like they're big guys, and they got hearts like big guys. But I think last week, I think we rushed for a little over 300 yards just at the tailback position, and that's good to do. We haven't done that all year long, and so. We've got our offensive line has gotten better. They're young, and where they're not young, they're inexperienced. And, I think they've, done better each and every week. They've done a pretty good job of pass blocking, but last week I thought they did a great job run blocking.
No doubt. And then defensively, you played well all year. I thought the PA game, you got a lot of penalties, but that's is what it is, and that's a whole nother podcast. But I thought you guys tackled real well in space, and that part really defensively coming on, playing a lot of guys up front, a bunch of defensive linemen and things like that, and your secondary is really strong. Talk to us a little bit about your defense and where they've progressed.
Well, I think our defense is the strength of our football team, and we were hoping they were. I mean, 9 of those guys played last year, and really we played about 13 or 14 a lot last year. But our defensive line, we played 12 guys against Pulaski Academy. We played about 10 guys against Little Rock Christian, so we have some depth. They're stronger. They run better. We have one group that probably rushes the passer better, and we have one group that probably does a better job against run. Our secondary can really run. All of them are fast. They're not very big, and I think that's, causes some matchup problems against people like PA or like Bryant, who has really tall receivers. But those guys are extremely fast, and they're guys who've really started for 2 and 3 years, and they've done a good job of tackling in space. I think the last 3 or 4 games, our defense is starting to gel. Hopefully this is at the right time. We haven't seen a team that really runs the ball and throws the ball as well as Bryant. So and then the quarterback can run as well. So that's going to pose a big problem. When you have a willing running quarterback and you have one that's able to run quarterback, that makes a big difference. And what Bryant has is one that's willing and able to run, and he's a great thrower and has length at receiver. And has speed on the outside. So that's going to be a big challenge for us.
It is. And you brought it up, and the quarterback. I mean, you were there. You're the one that put him in the game his first time to go in, and he's been very, very good. Their offensive line, especially that left side offensive line, has been real dominant all year long and in physical. And you talked about how you play a lot of different guys up there. Talk to me. You hit a little bit about the quarterback. Let's talk about their offensive line. The problems they present, just physicality, and they rather love to run the counter trade and that part of defensive line. What we got to do, you can't really load up against the run because they throw it back and forth, and got to try to make them one dimensional, or can you?
Well, I mean, that's the key. We want them to be, if they're going to do one thing or the other, we would rather them throw the football, but that's you pick your poison. I mean, both their tackles are guys that started as sophomores. Their quarterback started as sophomore. The running backs played a lot as sophomores, and they're very talented. And really, you say I want to stop them running the football. Well, they got 3 guys back there that can run it. You want them to throw the ball, and they got 2 receivers, 6'5", and they got a guy out wide, a guy or 2 out wide that can really run as well. I think one of the receivers last year had 240 yards against us, he's back, and we've got some, it's a tall order. I mean, and more in the pun of the word, but we've got to be able to try to make them one dimensional. We've got to make them make plays. We've got to stop them, as best we can from running the football and big play. And we've got to tackle in space, and we've got to get those guys down on the ground. We've got to. Last year, what we would do is we give up a 15-yard pass and make it a 40-yard run, and we've got to get off the field. We've got to tackle those guys, and I thought we did a good job against Pulaski Academy doing that. Their tall receivers at Pulaski Academy are a lot like the tall receivers at Bryant, but the quarterback and tailbacks are a lot different, and of course, the offensive line's a lot different too. But we're playing a complete football team. They're in the position they're in because they're very talented, and we're playing them at their place. Conway hasn't beat Bryant in 10 years. And, we've got to keep chopping to get where they're at. We've got to keep working, and we got to, this is a lot like when I came to Bryant trying to play North Little Rock. And, we took a beat down for, 2 or 3 times before we ever got to that level. And you really can't see it. You can't emulate it. You can't practice it unless you get out there and compete against it. And this will be an eye-opener for our kids. It'll be an eye-opener for our program. It'll be an eye-opener for our fans. And, we got to go out there and play at a high level to be able to compete against these guys.
Well, last question. I'll get you off here because I know you got to go to work. Special teams. I know a couple of years ago when you were at Bryant, Conway goes over there in the playoffs and 3 huge special teams plays, a fumble and going back. Those things people don't really talk about a lot, until it happens. Special teams can play big. Y'all got a great returner. Y'all returned, both got good kickers. Talk to me a little bit about special teams play.
Well, it's big in a big game. It always is. I think we scored 21 points off of kickoff team last, like that year. And, you can't overcome, fumbling kickoffs or getting onside kicks or fumbling on the kickoff team. That's a hard pill to swallow. And our guys have got to be, we got to be on point. Big time players make big time plays in big time games. I say that every week, but if you're going to play in big games, you got to make plays, and you got to have guys who are willing to make plays. And you can't be that guy that's scared to make a play. You can't be that guy that's worried about making a play. You just got to go out there and play football. Try to enjoy it. It's supposed to be fun. Our guys need to go out there and embrace this because not many teams are, sitting there 9-0 in week 10 with a chance to play for a conference championship. You can't see that very much all over the state. And to be able to do it really 2 years in a row against the, one of the premier teams in the state, we've earned that privilege. We've earned that right. Now we need to go out there and try to take advantage of it.
No doubt. Y'all both earned it. Y'all done it the hard way. Tough schedules. Been through everybody. Well, Coach, I'll get you off here. Hey, good luck to you. Good luck in the playoffs, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Jeff.
See you, buddy. Well, you can see, hey, if anybody knows Brian, it's Buck James. There's no doubt about that. And he's really done a great job with the Conway program. Their junior highs are rolling right now. He's had a full year with these guys. Daryl, everybody in the state of Arkansas has been waiting on this game. They're going to Bryant. Should be an interesting one.
Very much so. This is, I think, everybody circled this game, and then they got into conference play, and you kept going, hey, can we hurry up and get to that game? We just fast forwarded to that game because these other games are not good games. So here's the thing about these guys. It's kind of interesting. Conway's averaging 51.3 points a game. Bryant's right under that with 50 points a game. So both of them are doing that, and they're doing that, like I said, in a league where they're not playing 4 quarters. Besides the PA game for both of them, nobody's really had to play the 4 quarters or been pushed in this league. I think they're both going to push each other this week, though, that's for sure. Last week, Conway did it on the ground. Like I said, 321 yards on the ground last week with 5 touchdowns. I think Grayson Wilson might be back in this one, is the word. Hopefully that will happen so we can see him at full strength here. Now, the difference right now is Conway's defense has found their identity because they're only giving up about 13 points a game right now in the year. Now, it's a different offense that you see because we're going to pull the whole left side and we're just going to pitch it to people. And it's we're just going to try to smash the whole right side of your defense as much as possible. So we're going to see what the weight room and Coach Buck has fixed there at Conway because they're going to have to stand up to the wall that is Bryant. Jordan Walker, like I said, I think the guy's only lost 2 games in his entire career. Think about that. The guy has played since he was a sophomore. I don't think he's lost maybe 2 games. So he's done a great job of protecting the ball. He can do it on the ground and through the air. He's thrown for almost 1,700 yards. He's rushed for almost 600 yards. He's got over 30 touchdowns combined. He's got 28 through the air. I think he's got 7 on the 35 touchdowns combined. We talk about their big defensive tackles and McDonald and them that haven't been moved yet. Carter Ratcliffe is probably I'm going to say that Buck has probably circled him this week.
Oh, you think? Yeah. Good gracious.
I'm going to say whoever that guy is on the scout team has a big, huge target on his back right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that poor guy's going to go through heck. Yeah, Carter Ratliff, he was the Conway killer last year. He just lit them up there. They also got Caleb Tucker on the outside too. Anderson and them at running back. The Thrash kids having a phenomenal year for Bryant. Bryant is at home.
Yep.
That's a huge thing too. Bryant's got some seniors too. That'd be Jordan Walker's senior night there at quarterback. So I'm thinking Bryant's going to be pretty fired up. Once again, Conway's coming in there with a big, huge emotional game right here.
Yep.
Conference lead right here. You make a statement, and the litmus test is up there for Coach James and his gang. So at Bryant and Conway this week, I was 5-5 last week, by the way. Just want to tell you that. So I'm going to take Bryant. The Hornets, baby. The Hornets are going to sting them. I think that they still see this opportunity as to get after a former coach too a little bit. I think this has become a huge rival in the state of Arkansas because of that. And I think both teams respect each other, but I'm going to take Bryant at home.
Taking Bryant home. All right, Mouth. I mean, Bud James is going to Bryant, man, and we've all been waiting on it. You're close to both of them.
Oh, goodness gracious. We want to just start it. We want to just play this first week and let bygones be bygones. But have you ever seen a matchup between two head coaches that knows the other person's thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of
all we got this week.
That's all we got this week. I mean,
whole week.
Yeah.
This is a fascinating matchup. Last year, Bryant defeats Conway at Conway. So this, that sticks in Coach James' craw a little bit. I'm going to shock everybody and take Conway in this game.
Oh, going with the Wampus Castle.
That guy loves Coach James.
He does.
Just loves it.
All right, Lyndy, it's the biggest game in the state. There's no doubt about it.
Lyndy, before you make your pick, there's a lot of land over there at Bryant. Put that out there. There's a lot of land.
Yeah, you're right.
He's got but Lyndy's got R3
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Lyndy, that probably doesn't sway you one way or the other. Yeah. You just got a lot of land.
I just know this. When my boys were at Fayetteville, you had to go through Bryant if you were going to win. You were going to have to. You can't be a coward. You can't shy away from them. You can't dodge them on a schedule. You can't do that. You had to go through Bryant. Well, Buck James, I know Patton did some good at Bryant, but Buck James took Bryant to another level. Of course, I heard it was 5 days in the weight room. I heard all this stuff that he was doing with those kids. And I used to tell my boys, hey, someone's got to go right at big, bad Buck James. And so it's on the flip side here. I think Buck has taken that Conway team. I think he's gotten them stronger. I think his mentality, I think what he did at Bryant is coming to Conway. If it's not already there right now, he's going to walk into his old stomping grounds and he's going to win. Conway's going to win.
Wow. Lyndy's taking Conway. Well, guys,
it's that par 3 golf course.
Well,
we might have one more unit in Conway than we did in Bryant.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh,
there we go.
All right. Well, this one here, this is my statement here. Just because you win this one, if they play again, don't mean you're going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see this go either way. For some reason, I think Bryant, we've talked about their defensive line and both sides of their line. And, but I just feel like there's something in there. And I'm going to go with Conway on this one. The Wampus Cats, I know it's just because I think we got a plan. I think we got a plan. I think last year they messed us up, and I think we're ready to go this year. And I think this is going to be close.
The tight end had 234 yards.
Yeah, we better get a plan for that guy. I'm going to tell you.
We didn't have a plan for that guy?
No, we didn't have a plan. Didn't have a plan. Very good plan.
Yeah, he only had 234 yards. He only had like 400 yards on the year.
If here's the deal, and I'm being serious here. Whoever runs the ball the best is going to win the game. I believe that, and that we're going to throw it around. They're going to.
Hey, the forecast is cold and wet, buddy. The wet balls are coming out in Conway right now. You better get out of that fancy indoor. Better get out there and get some wetness.
I'm officially. I'm going
Yeah.
to go with Conway. I'm going with Conway.
Can I say something about this game?
Yeah.
Right quick. Whoever wins this game will control first and second down.
I agree with that. That's a good point. You got to be within the sticks, but there's going to be explosive plays made. But boy, it's just a tough one. Everybody's looking forward to it.
You can't be in 2nd and 8 all night and think you're going.
No, not going to win it that way, buddy.
Well, you're going to have to punt it too, because you can't turn it over. If you turn it over in short fields, you're going to kill you. I mean, let's get into all the things that could happen. I mean, come on, guys, just pick a winner. You pick Conway, stick with it. All right. When the Hornets sting, all right, when they sting, I want you three guys to remember that.
Well, we will.
Then Lindy's going to build a building over there. He's going to build some buildings. Bryant wins.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get a real quick week recap here. Daryl, what are you looking forward to? Obviously, I think I know the answer.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, we got so many. Hey, we got so many. What do you call this? Like this Star Wars. This thing right here. You got a bunch of Jedis, and then you got their under people. Yeah. I mean, you got Vaughn versus Bolden. You've got this is Sanders versus Buck James in the gang. I mean, you got a lot of these guys that know each other, Scola and Moppin over at Momel. So we've got, and we wonder why they're all playing for something. Well, it's probably because they all just stole each other's ideal about how we win in football here. All right, we're going to run the football. We're going to be good up the middle. We're going to live in the weight room. Yeah, and we're going to have multiple bodies to throw at you. So all these guys have taken the blueprint from somebody above them. So that just shows you the state of Arkansas football. You got so many young coaches that have taken from these older guys, and now it's and the flip side of that, all these old guys are going to show these young guys you're not quite ready. It's one of those deals. So it's going to be an awesome week. And once again, it's 1 week closer to what?
Playoffs,
baby. The playoffs. Everybody's 0-0 in the playoffs.
That's right. That's what we live for around here, boys. All right, Math, what recap real quick? Obviously, the Conway Bryant game, but what else are you looking for here?
We've got so many I'm looking forward to the Arkadelphia Malvern game.
Yeah.
Just to see how that plays out. On this week, there's not a bad game on the slate. You got some teams that are laying it all on the line to end up undefeated this week.
Yeah. Trophy week, buddy. Trophy week. People are getting trophies this week.
Yes, you got. I can't count how many 9-0 versus 9-0 we got coming out the chute this week.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. And when you're looking at that, you're saying, "Gosh, this is what we as high school football fans, this is what we live for. Matchups like this week."
No doubt. Lyndy, what's your take on all this? Obviously, Conway Bryant, the BB Cersei game also. I mean, that one there blows my mind. Gentry Gravitz, you got a lot of great games. What's your take and recap? What are you looking forward to in the playoffs?
Well, I would say so far this season, everybody's played in perfect weather conditions. It's been dry. Yeah. Fields have been consistent, all that kind of stuff. You throw a little rain and a little cooler temperatures, more of our normal football weather. And, don't be surprised if there's drop balls. Don't be surprised if the ball's on the ground because of fumbles. I think that's going to weigh in a lot of area of this week, just with the weather change and everything.
Well, and you're right, and that's something you try to hope that happens during the year and I always worried about as head coach was the deep snapper. That ball's a little harder. Your kicker, they're not getting that experience in the regular season like they are in the playoffs when that weather turns, and that's a big, significant game changer. You are correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Well, Lyndy, we appreciate you coming on, man. We're being our guest this week. We're going to send you Coaches in the Mouth t-shirt, which I think you already got a few, and All-American Steakhouse gift card for $100. Go over and get you a steak. And
man, I like that.
Well, it's good. Crab dip. Gotta get the crab dip over. It's unbelievable.
I'll do it.
Lindy's got all Coaches in the Mouth gear. He got the new Yeti cup and Yeti tumbler Friday, so he is decked out.
Man,
See?
set. I'm set. I appreciate you guys.
Well, we appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you coming on. Well, everybody, let's do this. Also, we're just talking about the merch. You want to get on merch, get on YouTube right here. We got a Coaches in the Mouth shirts, sweatshirts, hats, everything. Get on there. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Do it right now. Hit like, hit subscribe. This keeps this show going. Also, we're on X, it's Coaches Pod, Instagram, and we are also on Facebook. You can check our shows out anytime. Well, guys, for Coach Jeff Williams, Coach Daryl Fimple, and the Mouth Brent Bender, and our guest picker, Lyndy Lindsey, we'll see you next time.